Hi everyone, this is Sinead. In this video, continuing with my sushi and emotional experience, emotional memory experience in relation to it. Now, maybe to make it more practical is in that memory, there were two people and my siblings that were with me, and I had a emotionally suppressed reaction to the two people who were there with myself and my siblings. But I never spoke to them about it. I never said anything. I kept quiet. I kept to myself. I didn't open up with how I felt about a decision that had been made. And my emotions were quite overwhelming because the decision that was made was in relation to more past things that happened. So I was like at boiling point there. And here, to have a look at that pattern before we continue with how you can assist and support yourself, and having a look at who you are when it comes to food and food types and food tastes and sensations and how you overall experience it, is that, I even when meeting my partner in the last few years, I didn't realize still how much of a tendency I had to emotionally suppress, to keep what was going on inside of me so locked away. And, kind of giving this presentation of, even with those closest to me, of I'm okay, I'm fine, nothing's ever wrong, I'm stable, I'm untouchable. And, there was one day my partner, as always, sat down with me. He's like, you seem too like a heart machine that's going beep. Like in your expression, it doesn't seem natural. But he didn't say in that exact words, in his way, but I could grasp what he was saying. And just looking at the moments where he would ask, okay, how do you see this? How do you experience this? I would just sometimes say, yes, no, okay, fine, sounds good. Eventually, he would be like, okay, describe to me. How is this okay? Is it really okay? Because just how you're sitting and how the words are coming, it's subtle, but tell me more. And then, interestingly enough, a whole different sharing would come out. And he'd get to know me a bit better. He's like, please talk to me like this. And now, fascinating, the tables have turned, obviously. And sometimes I can pick up subtle things in him. And he's like, you're doing this better than I did in the beginning. How does this work? This is unfair. But it's quite fun. But I would like everyone to just have a look inside yourself. Even with those closest to you in your life, are you opening up? Meaning, I'm not saying go into the deep, vulnerable, nitty-gritty details. That you can do for yourself in your own time, in your own words, in your own diary, but talk to them when you're not comfortable with something, when you don't agree. When you do agree, describe it, give it words. We miss out on how much we really get to know others and how much we are sharing of ourselves with others. And then we become surprised when people have a completely different perception of us. But we're never talking, describing, showing, sharing a lot, really. And this same principle applies with food, interestingly enough. From my sushi experience, what happened eventually is where the moment changed with my relationship with sushi was that one of the two people who were involved in the initial bad memory, let's call it bad memory, and one of my siblings was there in the same moment. And I decided, all right, let me try sushi again, because, they were doing a whole sushi experience. And interestingly enough, because of the moment, because of the restaurant, I think just because of the nature of how our relationships and dynamics have changed throughout the years, the main individual started teaching me, okay, this is the quantity of wasabi and soy sauce I enjoy. This is the type of drink I would suggest with sushi. But there are many others as well. You can go and research and what complements the taste of it in your palate so much better. So there was like this whole describing of a science within and behind it that I'd never been introduced to before. Usually it's just like, try the sushi and that's it. And my point is, again, communication. Because way back then in the bad memory, we just all tried sushi. You know, we were all kind of so wrapped up in our own minds, our own selves, our own lives, that we didn't really communicate or introduce and show and share and make one another part of the sushi experience, you know. So then I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I actually missed this. All these years, right here. Just communication, describing, sharing, and showing. And now that gave me a reference. And since then, I've been exploring different drinks, different types of sushi, prepared in different ways. And lo and behold, I can request from the chef to prepare it for me in a certain specific way, if I so choose. You know, that's the beauty I found within sushi as well, is it's so versatile and dynamic, yet constant. And I've taken this life lesson and applied it now to everywhere in my life, with food, for example. When I usually would make a soup, one of my favorite to make is butternut soup. And so when I'm making the soup, every time I add the spices, I'm first really taking a moment to taste, to take it in, to experience it throughout my body and really make it a part of me and describe it for myself. How many times in our lives do we even do that with food? Do we really take a moment to describe it for ourselves? And hey, even maybe one day share it with someone and you might surprise them in going, you know what, I never looked at food in this way. We're eating it every single day. Well, those of us who are fortunate enough to be able to. And yet, you know, even sometimes with the food we complain about. But have you even really discovered the food that might be the same that you're eating every single day? I realized I didn't. For example, let me just take bread. Bread has just been something I've grown up with my whole life. And obviously throughout the years, I've more preferred rye breads and sourdough breads. But even the normal breads, I'm like, have I ever really just sat down with myself, tasted it, and described it? Really looked at how am I experiencing me in the moment, not in a thought or just a definition coming up if I like it. Or it's there, so I eat it. It's bread. What are you talking about? There can be so much more, and how that simple process can facilitate what I mean with sharing, describing, talking more, even to those closest to you. Because I didn't realize how lonely I had been inside myself. And this could be a factor to that dread of loneliness that so many of us go through inside ourselves, in our lives. Sometimes now when I feel lonely, when I feel alone and I feel like there's no one and nothing else, I use that as a reference for myself. Girl, where have you not been talking? Where have you not been sharing? What's going on inside of you that you're again suppressing and keeping to yourself when you've got people out there in your life who's reaching out to you that you know is there, that you can just talk to. Talking to doesn't mean you're necessarily going to resolve something or that you have to or that it's some process or you're going to be psychologically analyzed. It's just talking, for heaven's sake. And we make such issues about talking, just describing, sharing, this is who I am. So if you're not comfortable doing that yet, start with food. Do it for yourself, inside yourself. And you know, with foods, when you look at, there are some foods, yes, that look, your body is not going to respond to well, like curries for me, for example. I can't handle a certain amount of curry, a certain warmth, a certain type of curry. It's just, it affects my body's processing through within and throughout, and it really hurts my stomach. You know, there's actual pain involved. If there's physical, real pain, ailments, processing problems, guys, that's not mental things happening there, okay? That is real. Your body is just not happy with it. There's a syncing problem between just looking at a genetics level, your DNA, your physical programming. So I'm not saying all your issues with food is emotional. No. I was very specific in how you can identify it for yourself is whenever you eat it, memories come up and you become emotional. Whenever you eat it, even before you eat it, you know, it's kind of like your body is and your mind is more thinking about the memories and what happened and the emotions, and you're just going, then you're actually breathing and taking a moment and just tasting it and describing it, okay? And just have a look. Maybe there may be many out there who can relate to me as well, and knowing that there was an emotional issue in relation to food. And yes, it may taking some years to walk through like it did with me, but then that one moment happens where it's just everything came together. You know, the process I walked throughout the years, sorting out my relationship with the main person who was involved, me sorting out things throughout my life, and just how it was reintroduced to me, you know. So everyone, thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it, and see you in videos to come. Enjoy exploring yourself and food.